Hey, never a dull moment with this team. If there's one thing you can say about them, at least they're entertaining. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Full Command Show. My name is Grant Mitchell, and we are here for the 5 names to remember, my official game reaction to the Washington Commanders losing to the Denver Broncos 27-26 on Sunday Night Football in overtime of Week 13 of the 2025 NFL season. Guys, we are officially back from the holiday week. I was slacking last week, but we are back on the grind. We got videos come out every single day, and it starts with this reaction to the game. For those of you who don't know, or if you're new around here, the 5 names to remember is where I go through everything that happened in this game, talk about it, and then we talk about 5 coaches, players, anybody, any individuals involved in this game that stuck out for good, bad, and ugly reasons. So we are going to jump into that. I don't want to drag out the intro too long. Just make sure that those like buttons are pressed. Matter of fact, scratch that. Make sure the like buttons are smashed so that we can shoot this video out into the magical YouTube algorithms. As always, leave me your thoughts in the comment section below on everything I do say and that I don't say as we go through this video. And to the new viewers here, why not hit that subscribe button, okay? Holidays are over. I had my second stomach open. I was being lazy. We're back in grind mode now. Videos coming out every single day. So let's start with just what a wild ride. Like I said in the intro, one of the most entertaining edge of seat, teeth clenching, fingernail biting games that I've seen the Commanders play in a while. And that's saying a lot considering their name was literally the Cardiac Commanders just a season ago. Big picture stuff here. This looks like a good football team. I am not going to lie to anybody, and I don't come on this channel to push narratives. I know a lot of people think of me as the angry, pessimistic guy, which is funny because I'm actually kind of the opposite. I like to feel that I'm usually in the middle. I just call things how they are, call it how I see it. And what I saw was a good football team. For us to be 3-8, taking a team that's 9-2, had a chance to move into position to be the number 1 seed in the AFC. Matter of fact, well, they won, so I guess they did do that. But point being, us being 3-8, going against a 9-2 team, taking them to the final play of overtime where we were the aggressor. They had already scored in overtime, but we said, we're going to decide the outcome of this game. And it didn't go in our favor, but we were the aggressors. We were the ones saying, we are deciding this final result. Credit to Dan Quinn, credit to the coaching staff, credit to the players, man. It could be a litany of things, right? It could be coming off of a bye week. There was more, just the players were more physically prepared. It could be players coming back from injuries. It could be more continuity with some of the players who are now starting, guys getting more reps. Could be a lot of things, but this team just looked a lot better. So credit where credit is due. Also, keeping it on big picture stuff, this tells me that Dan Quinn has not lost to the locker room. If he had, the team would not come out and perform the way they had, and they have now lost 6 straight games, but that was not a performance to be embarrassed by, to be sad about, or shameful of. There's a difference between judging results and judging performances, okay? You're seeing that. Let's keep it in the division. We're seeing that with the Eagles, who once again started the year brilliantly with their record, but if you watch them, you go, there's a lot here that's going wrong, and now that's manifesting itself. On the flip side, we lost this game, but this could be considered one of our best performances of the season, specifically the defense. Now, real quick, touching on the defense before I actually break down the plays and everything that happened in the game. So I know that there's going to be a big conversation about we're just going to find a way to get back to Whitt Jr. because that's been one of the big narratives, the big storylines driving this season, right? So I'm going to give you my opinion on the Dan Quinn, Whitt Jr. debate now that we have another week of evidence. Here's what I'll say. The defense looked a lot better. And the biggest thing, which was always my biggest gripe with Whitt Jr., is why were there so many miscommunications happen all the time? Well, you haven't seen that with the defense. I can't remember a big one in the Miami game, and there was no big miscommunication in this play. Now, the defense was passive to a certain extent. They were playing back, trying to keep everything in front of them. But I think that was a conscious decision so that you could focus on eliminating the miscommunications, eliminate the big plays. And hey, we got to rally to the football. We got to swarm. We got to tackle. We got to do those things. We might give up more third or fourth down conversions than we would like to, but it's a bend, don't break style. And that paid dividends specifically early in this game, which I'm going to talk about. Now, the reason that I'm not going to use this game to judge the Dan Quinn, Whitt Jr. defensive coordinator debate is the way the Broncos play. Bo Nix's, their risk tolerance with Bo Nix, the level of responsibility they will put onto his plate is directly correlated to the effectiveness of the opposing offense. They want to win games with their defense, and they can. They might have the best defense in the NFL. At the very, very worst, it's top 3. Okay? So they have the defense to do that. They just go out there. This is something Tom Brady and Bill Belichick get credit for during the dynasty. Go out there, see what type of game, what the game calls for. Sean Payton discerns that, and then he gives Bo Nix an equal amount of responsibility in the offense. So this game didn't call for Bo Nix to do a ton. Now, he put up a lot of passing yards, but I also didn't feel like Bo Nix was going out there really winning the game for them. I don't feel like he was losing it for them either. Had a really boneheaded interception, but he also had a great touchdown. Other than that, everything was just very 50-50. So looking at the offenses that we have played, the Dolphins and the Broncos, the best sign is the communication looks better. Guys seem to know where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to do, but we also haven't faced these prolific offenses. We're also getting healthier, so I'm holding out judgment while also saying the team looks better, the defense specifically looks better. Okay, so let's talk about the first half. Speaking of the defense, Will Harris, welcome back. Really nice defense on a shot to Evan Ingram in the end zone on the first drive of the game. The Broncos have to settle for 3. Then on their next possession, I believe, they have to settle for 3 again, despite getting to the red zone. Back-to-back red zone stands. You want to lose games in the NFL, you kick field goals in the red zone. That's how it happens. Preston Smith, Jacob Martin, both got some pressure on those third down plays in the red zone. Side note, and this is a very small aside, but Preston Smith, best game in a Commander's uniform since he came back to Washington for the second time in his career. So hat tip to Preston Smith. And Jacob Martin might not have, bursted through and got some sacks like he had in recent weeks, but he also made an impact on different plays. We were so small on some third downs. We had Preston Smith on one side. We had Frankie Louvu on the other with Jacob Martin lined up at the 3 technique. And that's a very small unit. It's like a cheetah package, except with even smaller guys than you'll see on a lot of the great teams that use that stuff. But, we're struggling to find answers. Injuries, players underperforming, things like that. They had to try something, and they actually had some really good moments in pass rush in this game. So, again, credit where credit is due. The Commanders were playing to keep everything in front, like I mentioned. The checkdowns were open all game. Specifically, the hard flats were open. The cloud flats were open pretty much all game. Bo Nix put the ball where it needed to go. That's what I'll say about him. Again, he wasn't going out there winning the game for them. He only threw the ball more than 20 yards downfield one time in this entire game, and that was because that was the structure of the Commanders' defense. A lot of, I don't want to call it off coverage because they weren't leaving it wide open, but there was a clear desire, again, to preserve the integrity of the back line, keep everything in front of them. And if that was their strategy, well, it worked for the most part because Bo Nix had 321 passing yards. The Broncos were 7 of 13 on third down, 1 of 1 on fourth down. But you didn't look at them. You didn't walk away thinking, wow, this was a prolific passing attack. Or you didn't walk away thinking the secondary played horrible today. Just my thoughts on the matter. Talking about the Commanders' offense, the first big play of the first half was the Marcus Mariota interception, which, good Lord, man. I feel much differently about Mariota because I saw how the game played out. But for him to start it in that manner, I was just talking about kicking field goals in the red zone. How about scrambling around doing like the teacup ride at Disney World? It's not even a ride, but you take your kids, you take your little sister, whatever, and you hop in, you just spin in a bunch of circles. There's a whirling dervish. He's running forward. has 4 guys about to saw him in half. So he jumps in the air and blindly throws it into double coverage to nobody in particular, and it gets picked off at like the 1-yard line. That is up there for the worst play of the Commanders season. Now, again, Mariota redeemed himself, but what a way to start a game. And I didn't feel any better, by the way, when shortly thereafter, I don't know if it was the next drive or the drive after that, but he was getting sacked, like actively in the process of getting sacked, being thrown around. So he throws it to John Bates and he throws it backwards. So it's a live ball. You got coaches on the sideline. Balls out, balls out. Now John Bates scrambles, finds a way to get back on top of that. But I was like, oh my God, this is why he's a backup quarterback. I always say this about backups. The great backups will come in for a game or two. You won't notice they're there, but you leave them in too long. That's when they make their presence known in a bad way. That was how Mariota started this game. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, the Broncos are going to win 13-3. Bo Nix is going to have 140 yards, and this game's still not going to be competitive. It turned around, but that was an ugly start. C-Rod and Bill both had their moments in this game. I think Bill only finished with 3 or 4 carries, but they were quality reps. C-Rod looked good. He would get like a 10-yard gain, and then it would be 0, and then 1, and then be 11. And that first touchdown, C-Rod said, look, meet me at the goal line. Matter of fact, meet me in the weight room first of all. Come back here, then meet me at the goal line because I got real steel in these Pistons, right? Boom! Just ran over that Broncos player right at the goal line. I'm getting jacked up because C-Rod has brought the intensity this season. He has been patient. He was a 6th-round pick. He was inactive. He was on the practice squad doing all this stuff. He's gotten his opportunities. And I'm going to circle back to this about why I'm specifically fired up, but I'll just go ahead and say it now. I don't understand the usage of our running backs. And I have said this all season long with Cliff Kingsbury. We were treating Jeremy McNichols down the stretch like he's Saquon Barkley. And McNichols has, honestly, if we're talking about who has performed the best at any position relative to their role, relative to their expectations, there's an argument Jeremy McNichols is MVP. Like, seriously. The guy, when he's called upon, he delivers. But he's not Derrick Henry. He's not Bijan Robinson. He couldn't get off the field, passing or running late in the game. And again, this is no slight at him because he played another very good game. But like, dude, C-Rod was out there producing. That play at the goal line, Cosme and Biotish, it was a duo. They worked a double team. Cosme gets up to the second level, lays the block, one-on-one, right at the goal line, win or go home. Not literally, but like win or go home, as in whoever wins this play, either it's embarrassing because you're getting rocked and you're getting driven backwards, or I'm punching right through you, and this is a touchdown. And that was a knockout. That was a 10-8. The round's over in boxing. The fight's over. That was all C-Rob. So want to give him his credit where I can. The Broncos had 7% pressure generated in the first half. That number, I don't want to say it's misleading because I don't know if it's the most fair number in the world, but it is also representative. Broncos got no pressure at all in the first half. Now, I want to say they weren't really trying to, in the sense that they weren't coming with a lot of blitzes. And when they did pick their spots, it ended up usually being against the run. Hufanga specifically looked like the best player on the field. He was going crazy, but they weren't really trying to blitz us. They were dropping guys back into coverage. The ball was coming out extremely, ridiculously quickly by Mariota. Early in the first half, I thought he wasn't throwing the ball more than 5 yards at a time. This is kind of the Tua effect. This is how the Dolphins run their offense, where their offensive line sucks. And if Tua hangs in the pocket, he's going to get sacked. Yet they're like top 5 in pressure allowed because Tua throws the ball. His time to release is the quickest in the entire NFL. So it's kind of that. And then also, the offensive line just played really well. Now, these numbers aren't confirmed, but according to Pro Football Focus, the Commanders, I had it open right in front of me. Where is it? Give me 1 second. The Commanders allowed pressure on I'm not going to find it, am I? The Commanders allowed pressure on just 12 plays, 12 total pressures, which actually I guess that means it doesn't even have to be on 12 plays. You can have multiple pressures on one play. 12 total pressures in this game. The Broncos, who have the best pass blocking offensive line in the entire NFL, the Commanders being as injured as they are, they generated 16 pressures. Also, Mariota threw the ball 50 times in this game, and we went to overtime. So only 12 pressures allowed. That is a phenomenal job by the Commanders' offensive line. One final note before we get to the end of the first half. Dan Quinn, oh, man, talk about coaching scared. And I hate saying this because I was just praising him, but just coach with confidence, man. Debo brings the ball out. Now, Debo also fumbled to kick off in this game, but he brings it out to the 35-yard line right before halftime. Score is 7-13. You've scored your touchdown recently. You've got 2 timeouts left. There's 16 seconds on the clock. You are realistically, you're one pass away, one completion away from being in field goal range. Right now, it would be a good one. It'd have to be like 20 yards, something like that. But you have time. Again, 16 seconds, 2 timeouts. You don't have to go to the sidelines. The whole field is open. So if we can go 15 on this one, 15 on that one, and I get it. Yeah, like that's not the most likely scenario in the world, but let's at least try. And no, they just kneel it. The Commanders had an opportunity to kick from 56 earlier in the game, and they chose to punt. So my question is, why cut Matt Gay? Seriously, if you're bringing in Jake Moody as his replacement, but the solution is still, we're just not going to kick anyway. Why? What's the point? We get to the second half, and things really take off. Treylon Burks' new name is Treylon Banks because that boy is money. Riley Moss got mossed in the back of the end zone. And no, I'm not copying Chris Collinsworth. I'm copying Brett from the Discord and one of my boys, big Commanders fans, because he said it first. I have the receipts to prove it. Chris Collinsworth took his notes. But Treylon Burks, oh my goodness. Second career touchdown catch on the 10-year anniversary of Odell's catch. And no, it's not better than Odell. Don't be ridiculous. But reach back like 1-3. Like they're both number 13, 10-year anniversary. Him having the broken finger that is still taped up, and he does that? That was absurd. That was a 10 out of 10 phenomenal catch. Big play for the Commanders there. Then all of a sudden, Bo Nix, the one horrible play he had in this game, Bo Nix went back to Bo Picks. He's trying to work a dig route, 15, 20 yards or so down the field. I haven't gone back and watched the all 22 on it, but it was intermediate sort of / maybe deep-ish dig route. Bobby Wagner, Bo Nix is back there. Ready, set, hut. He drops back. Bobby Wagner is standing still. He's just chopping his feet a little. It's like, have you ever told your dog to sit and you're like holding like a dangling piece of bacon over them and the dog's sitting there just like not allowed to move, but that's kind of Bobby Wagner. Like he's just standing there waiting for about 3, 4, 5 seconds, doesn't move, and Bo Nix just stares him down. Wagner stares him back, and Bo Nix throws it straight to him. I for the life of me, I can't figure out what he's trying to do there. And let's just say in an imaginary world, Bobby Wagner's not on the field. We're playing 10 on 11. That ball is coming up woefully short of the intended receiver. I get it. You got to get it. It's got to be a low catch point because of the Commanders' DBs. But even still, that was just a horrible pass. So Wagner returns it however far. But then I don't think we end up scoring on that possession. Let me know if I got that wrong, but I feel like we didn't capitalize on that. Broncos get the ball back. Luvu has a great, tremendous effort sack on 3rd down. So defense making their stand. The Commanders, it's right there. You need the offense to step up. Let's fast forward to late in the 4th quarter. Mariota's scramble. If you remember, this was, what was it? Like third and I don't even know what it was, but it was a 1st down. The one that Denver ended up challenging, said that he was down by contact because he'd been sacked in the backfield. I've said this several times on this channel, and I'm going to say that again. Yes, Mariota was down by contact. That contact was illegal. It was a trip. The defender stuck his leg out and barely tapped him with his toes. Mariota got tangled up a little bit, goes to the ground, gets up, scrambles, ends up going for a first down, right? They review this and they get called back. So ultimately what happens on this play is we lose 20 yards and it's now third down instead of a first down because of a penalty. And they had not ruled Mariota down. They had ruled it was a first down. So we are changing the call because of what we have seen in the replay. Well, what did we see in the replay? The contact that occurred was illegal. So this is what I've said this several times on this channel. I'm going to beat this home until we get the rule changed. I'm going to pull my microphone close because I want to make sure that my voice comes across very clear. I don't think you should be allowed to challenge penalties. If you challenge a play, you challenge a call, and the referees discover that there is a penalty that directly interferes with whatever the call is that you're going to make here. A penalty is directly involved in the outcome of the play. If you change the call, you have to factor in that penalty. This is what the NBA does. You can challenge, let's say the Lakers are playing the Thunder and the ball is ruled out of bounds off of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So it's Lakers ball. They review it, they find out it's off of LeBron, but it's off LeBron because Shai slapped him on the arm. Well, the Thunder win the challenge because the call was changed. However, the NBA says that the Lakers are at the line shooting two because it was a foul. That's what should happen right here. So the outcome of that play should be the Broncos challenge. They win their challenge. And then the refs go over to Dan Quinn and say, hey, do you want to keep the ball where it is as a first down, or do you want to enforce this 15-yard whatever? Actually, now that I think about it, they wouldn't even have the choice because the play would be dead because Mariota was down by contact, but it was illegal contact. So the Broncos would win the challenge. They would keep their timeout, but the play would be ruled 15-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, first down for the Commanders. That's how it should go. Getting back into some of the action and the ref show as it continues, it felt like the script was out for the Commanders. And no, I don't think the NFL is rigged, guys. I just think the refs are humans too. Just like players make mistakes, refs make mistakes. But boy, felt like they were working against us. The phantom false start call that for no reason, and then the oh gosh, what's it called? Intentional grounding. I couldn't think of anything other than roughing the passer. The intentional grounding call to put us back into 2nd and 25. We end up being in 4th and 6 on that play, and Zach Ertz comes up with a great first down catch, but that really backed us up, and we had a chance to win a touchdown or to win with a touchdown, but we ended up having to kick a field goal, and the penalties played a part in that. So we get to overtime, and I know this video is dragging on, but we're going to wrap it up pretty soon here. We'll get to the 5 names to remember. Don't worry, everybody. We get to overtime. The Broncos just go straight down the field. Looked like the Commanders' defense we have seen all season. Bobby Wagner hadn't called his name in a bad way up until this point, but man, this play is exactly what you talk about when you talk about the frustrations with Bobby Wagner. Evan Ingram's just kind of dancing in the middle of the field. He gets on the wrong side of Wagner. Nix throws it to him 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. That should probably be a first down at a gain of anywhere from like 8 to 12 yards. It ends up becoming a 41-yard catch that essentially guarantees the Broncos are going to score on their overtime drive because Bobby Wagner, it looks like your grandpa or your old uncle who's trying to play Thanksgiving football with the kids and just chasing down. It looked a little pathetic. And Evan Ingram's fast. I don't know if he still has it. I think he set the 40-yard dash record for tight ends at the combine. And I'm not calling Bobby Wagner pathetic, but seeing the difference in speed, considering one guy was meant to cover the other, yeah, the outcome was a little pathetic. And it's just those plays. Again, Bobby played well in this game. He missed some run fits, but he also had some good ones. He had the interceptions. It's like that one play, man, that's just, that was the ugly side of what we have seen a lot from the Commanders this season. So we get the ball. We're around midfield. 4th down. Hufanga gets a pass interference call on the game-ending interception, which it absolutely was. But it's like, okay, the referees are back on our side now. So then Mariota, big balls, steps up, horks a touchdown to Terry. We're about to win this game. Josh Connolly, who had a very good game. Like I said, the offensive line had a very good game. The Broncos had led the NFL in pressure generated. To my eyes, and I'll need to go back and watch, but in real time, to my eyes, he had only allowed 1 pressure the entire game. And that was on a play where he was still square in front of the blocker, or not the blocker, the rusher. Whoever it was, they were walking him back. I think it might have been a defensive tackle, which makes sense because the concern with Connolly was play strength. They were walking him back, but Connolly's still in position. On this one, whoever the edge rusher was, probably Benito, just too fast. Connolly comes to holding, so the ball comes back. And then Mariota, again, big balls Mariota, says, forget about it. Debo, same up the sideline right here, 40 yards down to the 1-yard line. C-Rod gets the ball, gets stuffed. 2nd down, forget what happens. Think Mariota throws it away. 3rd down, Zach Ertz wide open. Now, relatively speaking, wide open in terms of playing the number 1 defense in the NFL in the red zone from the 1-yard line, but nobody there to interfere with the reception. Drops it. And I'm thinking, it's going to end like this, isn't it? On 4th down, Terry McLaurin, whoever was lined up next to him in the slot, they execute a perfect pick play. Terry beats Pat Surtain on a slant. Touchdown. 2-point conversion time. The play was perfect. McNichols leaking out of the backfield. There was traffic in the middle. Hufanga was supposed to guard him. Gets caught up in it. McNichols is wide open. Nick Benito just makes a terrific play. Jumps up, arms out, swats it down. And the Broncos win 27-26. And after nearly 30 minutes, that is what happened in this game. So some very some very quick thoughts before we get to 5 names to remember. The usage in this game was just weird once again. And I'm not trying to nitpick because I thought the coaching staff did a lot of good things in this game. But we ran a delayed screen to Zach Ertz on the first possession of the game. Ben Sinnott's right there. Colson Yankoff is right there. Any play that is a screen to Zach Ertz is the wrong play. Terry McLaurin on snap count, that was expected, but he came off the field on a couple of 3rd downs. He came off on the 4th down that I highlighted earlier, the 4th and 6, where Zach Ertz made the catch. McLaurin comes off of the field, and yeah, he'd gone on the deep route immediately before that, but who cares? It's the biggest play of the game. 4th down in overtime, got to be on the field. Running back usage. C-Rod starts this game. He's hot. You heard me shouting about that touchdown he got. Bill, good flashes. And McNichols ran for 16 yards on 3rd and 12. McNichols had good plays. Again, I want to make this clear. I'm not attacking McNichols. I'm just questioning, why did we just forget our other running backs existed? Everything was all McNichols. I don't get it. And then the kick return stuff on the first kickoff return of the game for the Commanders. Debo and McNichols couldn't figure out who was supposed to return the kick. It bounces around. It's really weird. Get tackled to like the 10. Debo fumbles again just before halftime. Just little problems, but overall, again, I'm not going to nitpick too hard because this was a very good performance by the Commanders overall. So, with that out of the way, it's time to transition to the 5 names to remember. Now, I explained how this is going to work in the intro. For those of you who don't know, we have 4 colors to judge players by. Red is awful, lost us the game. Yellow is, that was shaky, not too sold on that. Green, good job. You played a good game today. Dark green, game ball, best player on the field. We normally do not give out dark greens in a loss, and we are not going to give out a dark green in this one. Came close, but no dark greens today. So let's start out with the first player. We're going to get a green square from Marcus Mariota. Now, I was expecting to give him a red with the way he started this game. Again, that interception is just your 10-year-old son who goes on YouTube and searches NFL fails. That Mariota interception could be the headliner. That was hilarious with how bad it was. And then the throw to John Bates, like I mentioned, also just, what are you doing, dude? But the way he rallied, he threw the ball 50 times. That's as clear a sign as you're ever going to get that the team was relying on him. He also led the team in rushing, had 349 total yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, tons of big plays. The scramble near the end of the fourth quarter, 3 of 3 on fourth down, throwing the touchdown to McLaurin, having it waved off, and then immediately doubling back to get a 40-yard bomb to Debo. Just great plays all around from Mariota. Totally clutch right up until the final play. And I guess you can say it's a miscue. It's very easy to nitpick. Oh, if he had pump faked and then scrambled out left, maybe he gets out. Yeah, maybe. But there's also probably a chance he gets sacked. At the very least, he threw the ball. Benito made a great play. Credit where credit is due. But want to give a green to Marcus Mariota. Genuinely, if you think about who is the Commanders' best player, Mariota's very easily in contention for that. And this is a backup quarterback who continues to show there are not maybe many teams out there that he could start for, but would I rather have Marcus Mariota? And I'm talking about just one game to go win one game. I'm taking out age and development, everything like that. But I would rather have Mariota than Tyrod Taylor. I would rather have Mariota than sorry, I'm just looking at the divisions right now. Mariota than Shedeur Sanders. Would rather have Mariota than JJ McCarthy / Max Brosmer / Carson Wentz. I would rather have JJ McCarthy than I'd rather have Marcus Mariota than Cam Ward. I'd rather have Marcus Mariota than Tyler Shuck. Do we have any more than Jacoby Brissett? I'd rather have Marcus Mariota than... That's probably the end of the list. I mean, Geno Smith has been awful this year, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. But based off this year, I would take Mariota as well. But point being, flowers to Mariota. He played well in this game. A green square for Terry McLaurin. Welcome back, Terry. It felt like we had a number one receiver out there. Terry, the last 2 games specifically, the Chiefs game where he re-aggravated the quad and then this one, his presence was felt unequivocally. In this game, 7 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown he scored at the end, keep in mind, he had just had a touchdown waved off for a penalty right before that. That touchdown was the first that Pat Surtain has allowed in coverage since week 13 of 2024. Now, don't get me wrong. Surtain definitely had Terry's number on a lot of plays. The guy's the reigning defensive player of the year for a reason. But Terry also made a few plays of his own, came up with the timely touchdown, which has always been what's so interesting and unique about Terry, because he doesn't put up superstar numbers, but he does seem to show up in these big moments. Third down, fourth down, goal line, fourth quarter, that's Terry's the safety blanket. And he made some really good catches against the Chiefs. He made some good catches in this game, and he showed up in the fourth quarter in overtime. So the offense felt whole. It felt like you had a competent quarterback, competent offensive line, number 1 receiver, number 2 receiver. Your tight ends were giving you something. You could run it a little bit. This felt like a cohesive, holistic offense. And that was because it felt like we had a number 1 receiver. So I want to give a shout out to Terry McLaurin there. We're going to go to his running mate. We're going to go to another receiver. It's a green for Treylon Burks. Now, 1 catch for 5 yards. And I'm sorry in advance for saying this, but holy shit, what a catch. That was only the 2nd touchdown of his career, but dude, if he's going to do stuff like that, he's got a spot on the roster. He can stick in town. If he can become out anything close to our Devontae Adams at the goal line. If you watch the Rams play this season, the fade to the back shoulder Devontae is just automatic. If Treylon Burks can do that, can catch six or seven, not even trying to do the meme, but 6-7 touchdowns in the red zone per season, that's money well spent, considering this guy, a former first-round draft pick, was released and was just free for anybody to sign. If you think the team wasn't impressed, look at what Mariota did. If you think that one play, because again, he caught one pass in this game, but if you think that one play didn't start to change life, look at some of Mariota's passes in the second half. There were 2 or 3 occasions where he just looked and said, oh, Treylon Burks is lined up over there. I'm throwing this thing straight up in the air. Let's just go see if he can make some magic happen and catch it. He earned the trust of Mariota with one play. I don't know what capacity he has in the middle of the field, but we just got to find out with more reps. But green for Treylon Burks, talking about taking an opportunity. Now, on the flip side of this, and this is why context and nuance is such a crazy thing, right? Because it matters so much. Treylon Burks had 1 catch for 5 yards. I'm giving him a green. Zach Ertz had 10 catches for 106 yards. Led the team in both, led the game in both. And just to put in perspective how wild that was Zach Ertz's first 100-yard receiving game in the regular season since November of 2019. So Ertz was drafted in 2013. We're in 2025. So this was the best game since the middle of his career. He had a 100-yard receiving game in the NFC Championship game last year, but regular season, this is the creme de la creme for Zach Ertz, and I'm giving him a yellow. Now let me explain why. Zach had big moments. Again, the 4th down catch, some of the just his reliability, his dependability. Mariota wanted to go over the middle of the field because he trusted Zach Ertz. And that's something, there hasn't been a lot of trust on this team this year for whatever reason. It doesn't have to be player to player. It could just be this guy, I haven't gotten a lot of reps with him. Oh, we've got a new quarterback. Oh, we're changing the offensive game plan. There was trust with Zach Ertz. But despite that, there was one really weird play and then a couple of big mistakes. The weird play, I think this was early in the second half. He darts outside, great move on Hufanga. Basically does like a swim move, like an edge rusher would do to get around a blocker. Does a swim move. Mariota, perfect pass right on the money. Ertz grabs it in kind of the middle of the field. He's almost angled at where it looks like he's running to the pylon. And I've never seen him run so fast. And he ran that way just to get out of bounds. He was basically running. He stopped moving forward. He was running perpendicular to the field, maybe even going backwards a little, just so that he could get out of bounds. And he wasn't right on the sideline. He was like just leaving the hashes. It was so weird because I was thinking to myself, you could have run forward and gotten not a ton, but like another 3 to 5 yards. Just take the hit and go down. Heck, slide. We saw him slide last week for no reason. He was so focused on getting out of bounds, and it wasn't a clock management situation. So it was just very puzzling to me. Also, the 3rd and 21, which I believe was after the tripping call that they didn't call, that they overturned, said Mariota was sacked. Mariota throws a beautiful ball right up the seam to Ertz for like 40 yards. He has it. Now, he's not completed the catch, but I would say he's in the middle of the catch process. He's jumped. He's caught it. He's starting to bring it back. And then Alex Singleton gets in there, punches it out, and it becomes a drop. And that's a great play by Alex Singleton, but it's also a play Zach Ertz has to make. And then the final or the penultimate play, well, actually, that's not true. The penultimate scrimmage play, I don't really know what the term would be. The 3rd down in overtime, right near the goal line. That's a drop by Zach Ertz. There's not someone disrupting his catch process. That's to potentially win the game, and he drops it. So I want to give the guy credit because he hadn't played this well in 6 years. 10 catches for 106 yards. That's a terrific game. But it's also these moments where I'm thinking there's a lot of good, but then there's bad. And maybe a yellow is harsh. You know, in some ways he deserves a yellow and he deserves a green. So does that mean that I just omit him from the game? Well, that wouldn't be fair because this series is called the 5 Names to Remember, and I remember Zach Ertz's name. So I struggled with what to do, honestly. So go to the comment section, let me know your thoughts here. And then the final person, I get it. I've been yapping for 40 minutes. If you guys made it this far and you haven't hit the like button, I mean, why not? If you made it this far, you aren't subscribed, why not hit that subscribe button? I'm going to close this off. It was really difficult for me to come up with a 5th person because there was no individual that I think really stood out on defense. So far, we've had all offense, right? We've had Mariota, McLaurin, Burks, Ertz. We're on number 5. I don't think there was one defensive player that stuck out. Bobby gave up the big play. He did have the interception. You could say that, I said this was Preston Smith's best game since his return to the Commanders. I thought Jonathan Jones played a good game. I could have given a green to the entire offensive line. C-Rod was on his way to getting a green, but then he stopped getting in carries. Overall, I'm going to give a green to Dan Quinn. This team looked a lot better. They played well. Very ethical tanking. Taking a 9-2 team to the last play of overtime to still lose and move up to get the 6th pick of the draft. Very ethical tanking. And of course, this is all said very tongue-in-cheek. But going the distance, 12-round heavyweight fight with potentially the class of the AFC, that says a lot. The team bought in. The team was resilient. Offense made plays. Defense made plays. There was a response. And anybody who's worried or who thinks that Dan Quinn has lost the locker room, this game showed you that he has not. The team came out, they performed, and this is, if we're looking at the performances that they should be the most proud of this season, I would say the Chargers game was our best game of the season. After that, it was the Giants. And then even though we won the Raiders game, I think this was probably the 3rd best performance of the season. I think the best, I would rank them top 3. I'd go Chargers, Giants, and then Broncos here. So Dan Quinn could be proud and should be proud of the way his team played. And he says things like he loves the competitiveness. This one stings. And it's been lip service for a lot of the season because they have been totally resoundingly, overwhelmingly disappointing, but not in this game. They deserve to feel upset by the result, pleased with the performance, pleased with the effort they put in. So to wrap this up, this is 5 names to remember. We got a green for Marcus Mariota, green for Terry McLaurin, green for Treylon Burks, yellow for Zach Ertz, and a green for Dan Quinn. So guys, I'm going to head on out of here. Make sure that you do hit the like button and that subscribe button if you have not already. Also, link to join the Full Command Discord at the top of the description below. Make sure that you do leave me your thoughts on everything that happened in this game and my choices for the 5 names to remember. I'm going to head out of here. I appreciate y'all joining me. I will catch you in the next one. Have a great day.